Bonjour mes amis. Welcome to another fine French lesson. And this lesson is all about French consonant sounds. Now the good news is many of the consonant sounds we find in French are the same as consonant sounds that exist in English. However, there are some differences, and that's what I'd like to go over with you today. Let's begin with the consonant sound that is represented by the letters T and the letter combination TH. Now, of course, in English, this letter and this letter combination represent two different sounds, but not so in French. In French, they both have the T sound, as in tire. That's right, the French do not have a th sound represented by the TH. Instead, we pronounce it like a T, as in the French word for tea, te. All right, let's go on to the consonant sound that's represented by the letter Q. Now in English, Q is followed by a U, and it has a KW sound, qu, qu. Not so in French. First of all, in French it is possible to have a Q that is not followed by a U. And secondly, the Q sound in French, well, it's like the K in kid. And here you see two examples. The French word for when, quand. Notice not quand, but quand. And then the French word for five, cinq. And here you see in the word cinq a Q that is not followed by a U. But it's always going to have that hard C sound, that k sound. All right? What about the letters V and W? Again, in English, these represent two different consonant sounds. But not true in French. In French, they represent the same sound, which is like the V in vase. So the French word you see there that looks like wagon in English is actually pronounced wagon, because the W also has the V sound. All right, number 4. This is something we don't find in English. The letter C with the cedilla underneath it. And whenever you see the C with that little tail or cedilla underneath it, that indicates that the C is going to be pronounced like the S in song, or in other words, a soft C sound, as in the word garçon, for boy. Normally, this C, because it's followed by an O, should have a hard sound, so this word should be garçon. But for some reason, the French have chosen to make this a soft C sound. So to indicate that, they put a cedilla underneath it. Tells you, hey, this should be hard, but let's pronounce it soft. And so we have garçon. Going on. Now we have the sound that's represented by the letters J, or the letter G followed by an E or an I. Now, oddly enough, we really do have this same thing in English, because that G followed by an E or an I is what we call the soft G sound. And in English, our J sound and our soft G sound are the same, J. But French doesn't have a J sound. But this letter and letter combinations do have the same sound in French. They have the sound of the S in measure, the J sound. So a soft G or a J sound in French is j, j, as in the word je for game and the word gentil for kind. It's je, je. All right? We move on to the consonant sound represented by the letter combination CH. In English, this is a ch sound. In French, it's a much softer sound. CH is like the SH in shout. Shh, shh. As in the verb chercher, which means to look for. Notice that sh sound. Pretty sweet, isn't it? All right, let's go on. Okay, to the consonant sound represented by the double L. Now, well, let me go on and show you how this is pronounced. It's sometimes like the Y in yes, and that sometimes is very important, because a double L is not always pronounced like the Y in S. It sometimes is simply pronounced like an L. So you have to learn this as you go along, when it applies and when it doesn't. But in the word fille, which means girl, we can see that the double L is indeed pronounced like the Y in yes. Fille. Okay? How about the consonant sound represented by the letter R? In English, this is a nice rrrr. It kind of just like a very liquid sound. But in French, not so. And it's not the pretty trilled R that we might find in Spanish or Italian, the rrrr. Nope. In French, this is a very guttural sound. It comes from the back of the throat, and it's almost like you're gargling. And the French R, well, as I can say, it's no English equivalent. Guttural from the back of the throat. It's a sound. See, like you're gargling. And so the French word for red, rouge, rouge. You hear it. It's not the prettiest sound, but it's very forceful, very different. Rouge. All right? How about the consonant sound that's represented by the combination GN? All right? That's like the NY in canyon. Ny, ny. So, as in the word for line, ligne, ligne. All right? We go on to the last one now, the letter H. All right? In English, the letter H represents a kind of an airy sound. But in French, the H is a silent letter. So while it's there, we don't pronounce it. As in the word for hotel. Again, hear that English, that sound at the beginning. But in French, it's simply pronounced hôtel, hôtel. The H is there, but we ignore it. It's always silent in French. And those are the French consonant sounds that differ from the English consonant sounds. Not too many of them, but they are a bit unique, aren't they? Well, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson on French consonant sounds. Put it together with that lesson on French vowel sounds, and you're all set to begin pronouncing all kinds of different French words. All right, my friends, à bientôt.